This is the easy way to call Azure OpenAI. You copy the API key, you put it in the config, and it works. But if you bring this to a real company, the security review will reject it. This line is the problem. I build software for enterprises in Germany, energy sector, regulated industry, and there, API keys in config files are not accepted. In this video, I show you the pattern that is accepted. Keyless authentication with managed identity. Same code locally and in Azure. No key anywhere. At the end, you will have a working setup. A .NET API, the infrastructure in Terraform, and the proof in the Azure portal. Everything in a public repo. Link in the description. First, let's talk about why are keys a problem. There are 3 points. First, a key is a secret. It lands in config files, in pipelines, sometimes in Git history. If it leaks, anyone can use it. Second, there is no traceability. Every request with the key looks the same. You cannot say which app or which person made the call. For audits, that's a big problem. Third, someone has to rotate the key. Extra work and things break when you do it. With managed identity, there is no secret. Every caller has an identity and Azure manages everything. Let me show you how it works. Here is the whole idea. Our API runs on app service with a system assigned managed identity. Think of it like a service account that Azure manages. No password, no key. When the app wants to call the model, it gets a token from EnterID. EnterID checks, does this identity have the Foundry User role on this resource? Foundry User is the built-in role that allows calling the models and nothing else. No key in this picture, and every call is connected to an identity. You can see in the logs exactly who called what. And now the best part, DefaultAzureCredential. This is not one credential, it's a chain. The code tries different credential source and takes the first one that works. On my laptop there is no managed identity, so it uses my Azure CLI login. In Azure, it finds the managed identity and uses that. Same code, both places. No if statement, no special local config. This also means for local development, my own user needs the Foundry User role too. This is the whole API, minimal API, .NET 10, one endpoint. The important part is here. We use the official OpenAI SDK. 2 things make it work with Azure. First, the endpoint, our Foundry resource with OpenAI/v1 at the end. Second, these 2 lines. Instead of an API key, we create a default Azure credential and wrap it in a BearerTokenPolicy with the scope ai.azure.com. Remember this scope, ai.azure.com. If your auth ever fails with a valid identity, check this string first. And look at this. This is the full difference between the key version and the keyless version. About 10 lines. Going keyless is not a big rewrite. The config only has the endpoint and the deployment name. No secrets. My real endpoint is in a local file that is git ignored. So this repo can be public, and it is. Link in the description. The infrastructure is in Terraform, because in real projects, you don't click this in the portal. 3 things I want to show you. First, the Foundry resource. Important detail. It needs a custom subdomain. Without it, EnterID auth does not work, and the error message will not tell you why. Second, my favorite line, local auth disabled. The resource does not accept keys at all. When the security reviews ask, how do you rotate your keys? The answer is, there are no keys. The model deployment, GPT 5.4 mini here. Models retire on a schedule. So check what your region offers before you pin a version. This command is for that. And third, the role assignments. The app's identity gets Foundry User role only on this one resource, nothing more. And my own user gets the same role. so local development works. I already deployed the API in an app service in Azure. The steps are in the README. It's one publish and one AZ web app deploy command. What I want to show you instead is how this looks in Azure, because this is what a security review actually looks at. Here is the app service. Under identity, you see the system assigned managed identity is on. This object ID, this is the app as an identity in Enter ID. Nobody knows a password for it because there is none. And here you see what this identity can do. Exactly one role, Foundry User, on exactly one resource. Not the resource group, not the subscription. If this app is ever compromised, this is the whole blast radius. Same picture from the other side. On the Foundry resource, two identities have access, the app and me, for local development. This list is your answer when someone asks who can call our AI models. And the keys page, disabled. Nothing to steal here. And now the proof. Locally, no key on this machine. My CLI login does the auth. Works. And the same request against the deployed app also works. Same code, different identity. Everything is in the repo. Link in the description. Code, Terraform, and a README with the exact steps and the errors you might see, like a 401 directly after Terraform apply. That one is normal. Role assignments need a few minutes. In a real enterprise setup, there is more. User assigned identity, security groups, and an API management gateway in front of the models. If you build AI on the Microsoft stack for real projects, subscribe. And if your team works on exactly this right now, my LinkedIn is in the description. Thanks for watching.